Well, hey, Trevor here, coming with a first quarter fully engaged partner update. Fully engaged partners really are those who have partnered with us in our mission. That we're a church, our mission statement is we exist to help as many people as possible take their next step towards becoming fully devoted and fully delighted followers of Jesus. And as the Lehigh campus, we take ownership and responsibility for living out that mission here in this valley, in this Utah County. And so, yeah, what I want to do is just, thank you all for the way that you're engaged in the life of the community. Your partnership in this mission is a gift. It's a wonderful thing. I appreciate it a ton. And with that, I just want to keep you in the know on a regular basis of what's happening within the life of the campus, kind of where we're at and how we're doing. And so, really what this is just kind of a quick recap about the end of Q1 of how things have gone. Our fiscal year, runs from July 1st all the way to June 30th. And so the first quarter of the year is the first 3 months, July, August, September. And I just want to give a recap of what happened within those months and where we're at the end of the first quarter coming into the year. So with that, if I could kind of preface all of it with one big idea, it would be this, that basically we're seeing incredible things, that there's a lot of like really exciting things happening within the life of the campus, and it's an exciting time to be a part of this community, to be a part of this campus, and a part of what God's doing in this valley. And so when I see that, Luke 17 tells the story of the 10 lepers who cry out to Jesus for healing. He heals them, tells them to go present themselves to the priests, and afterwards, only one of them to be declared clean. And then after that, only one of them actually returns to thank him. And in a lot of ways, I think it kind of gets at the power of gratitude, and the power of gratitude specifically in the context of our relationship with God. And so I want to walk through some of these numbers and metrics and just kind of share and celebrate where we're at and what we're seeing. But I think if we could frame it all, really, there's two things. We want to thank God for all of this, because it's a reflection of His goodness, His kindness, His faithfulness that we get to be a part of. But then also we want to ask Him to help us be good stewards of this momentum, that there's a lot happening in a really, really good way. And we have a responsibility to steward that well as a community, as a campus. And so we want to ask for His help in that. So that's kind of the big idea, thankfulness and wisdom when it comes to stewardship. Okay, with that, I want to get into three different things. I want to look at frontline metrics, I want to look at giving, and then I want to look at attendance and kind of break those down one by one. So starting with frontline metrics, every one of our campuses, these aren't necessarily the metrics that drive the way that we approach things, but we pay attention to them because, again, even this past Sunday, we talked about how every number represents a name, every name tells a story. And so in a lot of ways, these give us just an indication of how things are going at the campus. And so there's five frontline metrics that we pay attention to, which are baptisms, first-time givers, people who are stepping into giving for the first-time guests, people who are participating in the life of the community campus in some way for the very first time, people who are participating in groups and classes, taking those next steps into learning and into community, and then people who are serving. And so with that, we have kind of goals that we set around each and every one of these. And last year, so I want to walk through with each one of these five things. I want to walk through three numbers: where we finished last year, what our goal is for this year, and where we're at after the first quarter. Right? So when we look at baptisms, there were 18 baptisms that we had the opportunity to celebrate last year as a campus here at SMCC Lehigh. And man, those are always it's just an incredible Sunday when we have the chance to celebrate that. So 18 from July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. Our goal for this year is 19. The hope is that we would see more baptisms take place in the future than what we've seen in the past. So 18 the year prior, the goal is 19 this year. At this point, we actually have celebrated 14 baptisms is the number that we have within our frontline metrics. So 14 baptisms we have the chance to celebrate just within the first quarter of the year. And so in a lot of ways, I mean, you never know. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched. But if that trend keeps pace, that's on pace for kind of 28 through the first 6 months of the year, and then 56 for the year total. I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but I'm saying that within the first quarter of the year, we already have a ton to celebrate, and that's a wonderful thing to see. Okay, so that's baptisms. When it comes to first-time givers, last year we had 39 people step into giving for the very first time. Our goal for this year is to see 44 people step into that. At the end of the first quarter, we had 18 people step into giving for the very first time, or maybe that includes the first couple weeks of the second quarter. But in a lot of ways, that's a reflection of like a really good thing. Giving is a hard thing to step into. It's not an easy next step for people to take. But the fact that they're doing it is, on the one hand, incredibly encouraging. And then I think it demonstrates in a lot of ways significant growth within people's spiritual lives. And so for 18 to have happened already at this point, we're like well on our way to seeing, essentially to reaching our goal there and seeing people continue to step into generosity. More on that in a minute. First time guests, last year we had 553 first time guests throughout the entirety of the year. The goal for this year is 482, which is actually a little bit less than what the goal was last year. And that mainly has to do with just that 553 was so much more above and beyond than what we had seen in years prior. And some of that had to do with just an alteration in the way that we counted first-time guests. That in some ways increased that number. But 482 is what we want to see. Through the first quarter of the year, we're already at 203. And that's without having had Fall Fest take place. That's without having had kind of our Christmas outreach event. We're actually kind of discussing and debating, not debating, but we're discussing and kind of talking through what would it look like to do like a Lessons and Carols type event around Christmas. That's not including Christmas Eve, obviously, which hasn't happened. That's not including the Easter services, which haven't happened. And so, man, so many people coming out, which is an incredible thing to see and to be able to celebrate. Groups and classes, last year we had 308 people participate within them. The goal for this year is 330. We actually already have 335. We've already met that goal within the first quarter of the year, which is kind of insane when I'm looking at the metrics. In some ways, that gives me pause and makes me think maybe I need to check these again and just see if they really are accurate. So I reserve the right to come back on that one. But man, we're seeing just people take next steps, do kind of go above and beyond just participating on Sundays, but doing some really interesting things. So so that one's doing wonderful. And then when it comes to serving, last year we had 200 people. The goal is 220 people to step into serving this year, and currently we're at 164. As of the most up-to-date information I have, which comes from our document where our frontline metrics numbers are kept and recorded and updated, that's what we're seeing. And so in every way, we are like way ahead of pace for what we were hoping to see, which I think in a lot of ways is reflective of significant momentum that we're seeing in the life of the campus, that people are coming for the very first time. They are taking next steps within their faith in all of these different significant ways. They're growing spiritually. And we're seeing that in every one of these frontline metrics, which again, every number represents a name, every name tells a story. And it's reflective of so many stories that we get the chance to be a part of and to celebrate together. And so what I want you to hear just after walking through that is that what we see comparing last year to the first quarter of this year is that, man, we have incredible momentum in terms of the spiritual growth that's occurring right now within the life of our campus and our community. And you guys are a huge part of that. So thank you for the ways that you step up and step in and serve and engage in all of these different ways. Okay, so that's frontline metrics. Giving, I want to spend a little bit more time looking at this in particular. So giving, again, just doing some comparisons. If you look at the first 6 months of last year, so it starts in July 1st, taking you all the way through the end of December, the total